Hello, welcome to what is it? Positive Paganism?
Yes.
Positive
Spells
Paganism.
for good times.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
So Anna from Llewellyn says, thank you all for joining us. Let's start with an introduction to each of you, your books, and perhaps a bit about your magical and spiritual backgrounds. Okay, I'm not starting because I read the question. So who's starting?
No, go on, Tess. You're doing so great. Tell us about yourself.
Okay. Well, so I am Tess Whitehurst. This is the book I'm talking about today, The Self-Love Superpower, The Magical Art of Approving of Yourself No Matter What. I'm in the Rocky Mountains today, and my magical spiritual path, I feel like there's just too much to say right now in this intro. Let's just say I've written a number of magical books. I really love clearing clutter and meditation and embracing nature and the full range of emotion, being present with all the feelings. So I think that's a good little intro. So who's next?
It is.
I'm the Jaw Lightfoot. I'm here.
Oh.
Sorry, Lisa. I just jumped right in there. Hi, everybody. It's really great to be here with Tess and Lisa and Carrie. I'm a multi-award-winning author of Good Juju, Mojo's Rites and Practices for the Magical Soul. Got an upcoming book coming out in September, Powerful Juju, Goddesses, Music, and Magic for Comfort, Guidance, and Protection. I'm all about that positive paganism and spells to help us weather good times, hard times, and celebrate all the times in between. And it's always a wonderful time to be here on the Llewellyn Virtual Author Forum. And I'm in Colorado. I'm in Denver. So Tess and I are neighbors, kind of. We live, but yeah, we're here in Colorado together. That's me. Hi, Augusta.
Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I'll go next. I'm Lisa Wagoner, and I've got a book coming out in June called Positive Pagan, Staying Upbeat in an Offbeat World. And like Tess, it's hard to describe, I think, my spirituality in a little soundbite, but it's pretty much Celtic spirituality with nature-based. And I live in the beautiful mountains of Western North Carolina, and I'm really happy to be here. And I'm so excited. This is obviously my favorite subject since I wrote a book about it, but I can talk about this till the cows come home. And I'm so excited to be with women that I've admired and been a fan of for a while. So thank you for having me.
And hi, I'm Carrie Connor. This is my first author forum. I wrote, my next book that comes out next month is Spells for Good Times, but I did just have my new CBD book come out, and I write a lot about weed. I write about weed, and I write about magic, and it's just, that's all there is to it, is weed and magic. I run a group from my house that has been going for 18 years now, and we just last year officially turned it into an official organization, registered with the government and all that good stuff, and signed our home over to our church. So that's my life now. That's my life. And that's
congratulations.
Thank you.
That's great.
So Anna says, a bit of introductory information. Most of us think of magic and ritual when we are in times of crisis or need. Why is it so important to celebrate the good times as well?
Well, I like to keep it real, like all of us on here do, because we're all been living for a while, and there's times are hard right now. I mean, we're living in unprecedented times, even outside of the stuff that people have been going through lately. Things get heavy. So when things are good, you should celebrate them, and that's why I know that having a foundation, a magical spiritual practice, it helps you when things are down, and then when things are good, you also can celebrate that way. So our magic, our power, our positive paganism keeps us sustained. It's a sustaining practice. It's not something you just turn to when you're in need, but something that you develop over time that can And you can use it to celebrate, you can use it to comfort, you can use it for healing. And so that's why I think it's important to celebrate the good times, especially the times we're living in now. I mean, you can wake up in the morning and 2 hours later, things have gone to shit, you know? So I'm really, you know,
Absolutely.
so it's like, hey, let's
Yeah.
give thanks for the sun and the moon and the stars. And then if something happens, well, okay, you know, but so yeah, celebrating good times is very important for us as human beings trying to just live life on this planet we're on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
I
think,
think. Oh,
sorry,
you,
go ahead.
no, I want you to go, Lisa. I'll go
Oh,
after.
thank you. Thank you. Sorry. This is my first one, so apologies if I jump in. I'm just so eager to talk about this just because positive paganism, it's a way of life. And I know sometimes it can seem negative to be positive, but it does give you like the foundation, like Naja said, that it just keeps you going because all of us have bad times. Nobody's immune from it. I mean, just this week alone, I've had several friends in crisis and so many things happening, the state of the world. And I think the best part of positive paganism, it's action and it's doing things to make your world a better place. And then if everybody does it, that will just sort of take hold. And so I think it's really important that we do celebrate good times because those are the things we hold on to when things are not so great and it keeps us going. So like I said, it's really important to do that and to acknowledge it and to give you perspective. So when times are bad, you can hold on to that and then just keep going and survive, basically. Tess,
Yeah, so were you finished?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so I really am just thinking of that question makes me think of grounding and centering because that's something I teach a lot. I have a magical group called Wisdom Circle. We meet on Tuesday nights and on Zoom, and I always start with this practice of grounding and centering, like noticing your breath, feeling your weight on the earth, just coming back to center, noticing where there's tension, breathing into it. So having that kind of practice of not just before you do magic or ritual, but something you can come back to regularly so that it's the full range. Like we are expecting life to be everything all at once. So there's positivity, there's challenge, and everything contains its opposite. I feel like this is part of paganism is like I'm thinking of when my cousin Logan was dying when I was 29 and he was also 29 and he was dying of a brain tumor. And I just remember my whole family coming together and how much joy we had. We were crying constantly, but we were so at the same time aware of how much we loved each other. I feel like we were just so aware of, sunlight and just things like that bring you into the present moment. They remind you of the beauty of everything. So I feel like that's part of positivity to me. It's not just like smiling and laughing and looking at things, looking at the bright side. It's saying yes to everything. That's, I think, a new definition of positivity. I mean, or maybe like a more empowering, non-toxic definition of positivity is saying yes to everything. I mean, having positive boundaries. Sometimes you want to say, no, that's not okay. I can't be in my field. But what I mean is having this practice that does involve grounding and centering, that involves being able to, unite all of the things, all of the feelings, all of the possible experiences. And then that's the place where you can really transmute too, like transmute challenges into wisdom or strength, or even seeing the blessings in the challenges.
To kind of just go along with that, for me, a lot of it too is, first of all, I will find any reason for a party, and I've done that my whole life, long before I knew anything about paganism. It was like anything to have fun, any reason to have a party, any reason to bring people together. And as I got older, I realized it's because I had so much, negative crap. You counteract it with all of the positive energy you raise when you have all of these people together and you have a party and you're celebrating the good things. We do have a lot of bad things going on, which means the way I see it is we have to take some of that negative energy and we have to transform it into good. We have an abundance of negative energy right now, and we need to change that. To me, it's almost like science. If you got something that's negative, you got to do what you need to do to it to make it positive, and that changes things. The world
Carrie,
around.
what's your sign?
I'm an Aquarius.
Mm.
Which is funny because supposedly I'm supposed to run a church, and never in my life did I ever think that would be one of the things I would do.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was a teacher for a while. I thought of being a doctor. The whole idea of running a church, I'm like, now I run a church.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I want to say too, like I saw over here in the chat the term toxic positivity. That's just like, that's just seems to be indicative of where we are now. Even a good word has been turned into something that's supposed to be bad. But I also want to say, especially with my upcoming book in September, like I don't want to negate that people have hard times. I mean, there are some things that really come into people's lives. Anybody, walking on this planet, you're going to run into some stuff that, it's going to hurt your heart. It's going to be sad. It may be tough, but you have to like work to also cultivate that positivity and have practices that you can turn to. And especially as pagans, we're so connected to nature. And that is one thing, especially for me, like when everything else just goes to crap or human beings let you down, like they will, I can always find that solace, with a tree, with the sunrise, with the sunset, or in good music. I love music. Um, so, I have to acknowledge that there are some stuff that happens to people that, you may not just be able to just like snap out of it and like, oh yeah, that was fun. Oh, I really appreciate that lesson. Sometimes you're like, really? Did I have to learn that lesson today? That was kind of shitty, but I have my practice. I have my magic. I have my spirituality that I can turn to, and I can dump all that in there, and then I can, sometimes you got to go away for a minute, maybe have a party by yourself, like Carrie was saying, and then you're like, okay, all right, I'm ready.
So I hope you guys don't mind that I'm the voice of Anna here. So I'm seeing her comment. I just recorded my podcast, so I'm in that zone. Love the sentiments. Thank you all. So what do you think is the best way to actually get started celebrating the positive, especially when there is so much negative? Najah, you mentioned music, and Tess, you've mentioned the sun.
Music is huge. You can't always find the sun, but you can always find music. You can always find music. And you know what? If you have not seen or if you have not heard the most recent Grammy-winning album, the We Are album by Jean-Baptiste, I'll tell you what, you listen to that album and you cannot be sad. That album is incredible. The day he released the song Freedom, when that came out that day, I said, oh my gosh, he is going to take the Grammy this year just from that song. That song is incredible. And I know we have another New Orleans fan in this room. So music is, like he said, music is spiritual. Music is one of the most powerful, universal languages on this planet. And it does so much if we let it. It can do so much.
Yeah, it moves energy. Well, with music, I think also this reminds me of something too that I wanted to bring up, is that there is so much positivity in the modern world. Like we do focus on the negativity because, I mean, of course, because that's what sells in the media is the sad stories. But just thinking, to me, things like, wow, I can listen to any song I want anytime.
Exactly.
Like that is such
Technology.
Yeah.
Well, and I want to say one of the things that I'm excited about with my upcoming book is I have a playlist that I created to go along with my book, and it's up on YouTube right now. It's the Powerful Juju playlist.
Yeah.
So,
what do we got on that playlist, for example?
Oh my gosh, we've got Annie Lennox, we've got Cyndi Lauper, we've got Nina Simone, Nancy Wilson, we've got Janis Joplin, and then one of my new favorites, talking about roots music, is an artist that I'm just enchanted by, and her name is Amethyst Kia, and she plays black root music. And she's fantastic. If anybody's heard of Rhiannon Giddens, she was part of that for a while. And so I love that, banjo. I love all kinds of music, but my maternal line is from West Virginia. So when I hear a fiddle play or somebody doing a washboard, I'm just like, oh, it's transcendent for me. So yeah, exactly. Music is fantastic.
I love
Yeah.
it.
I've got a playlist coming up too. So great minds think alike. So that's in June. And tying in with all of that, the easiest thing I tell people to do is just engage your senses, and music being one of them. The joy of hearing things, something simple like having plants around and just touching the dirt, that immediately grounds and centers me and just reminds me of all good things. And also smells are really important. So my mother took care of me a lot, and I have so many lovely memories of her. And like lemon and parsley, I just have to smell that, and I'm right back in her kitchen, and I feel goosebumps. That just takes me out of whatever head spiral I'm going into, because a lot of times you stay in your head. And so I think engaging all 5 of your senses, like I'll go through a checklist of things that make me happy, and then that sort of brings me back to center.
And what's your sign?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I just am wondering what your sign is, Lisa.
I'm a Pisces.
Oh, okay.
One of the things I started doing a few years ago is I have it's just a spiral labyrinth in my backyard. And we now do full moon dances out there at night, women's full moon dances, and between the music and fire and generally some, wine and a little smoke and running around in the woods. It is like the best time of my life. And I'm a 52-year-old woman. I'll tell you what, running around my woods, it's great. It very much is like being a kid again. And it brings that whole energy with it. I love it. It's so much fun. Y'all should come out.
Yeah, I would love it. And
out of my woods with me.
That sounds like the best thing ever. But playfulness, I think, is such a good point too. And laughter. I do set the intention every day. I just set the intention to laugh deeply, because no matter what comes up in your day, whether it's like sad or happy, I mean, challenging, relaxing, like laughing deeply is so healing and so transformational. And it is interesting to me how just setting the intention, it does like put me in a place where I do end up laughing deeply every day. And I think it's very healing.
Nice.
Yes.
All right. So does someone else want to read Anna's question? I feel like for some reason, I should not keep doing it.
I'll read it if you want.
Okay.
Everybody's going to know my answer to this question if they know anything about me. So does anyone have favorite positive spell ingredients aside from wine to work with when you're doing all these amazing things? Any go-tos that must be included? Y'all know mine.
No, tell us.
Remind us.
Weed is my life. It's my life. It's weed. Weed. I like the weed. So what about you guys?
I'm a candle freak. I gotta burn a candle. I could have a warehouse full of candles in my backyard. It still wouldn't be enough. I must light, 4 or 5 candles a day, every day. So I'm always lighting a candle, dressing and fixing a candle for something. So I just find, I have so many candle holders. They're all different colors for different conditions or different things. But, I just, and I still like, oh, it's a candle. It's a candle. What's that, oh, shiny things. For me, it's like, oh, it's a candle. So I just find, if I got a candle, I feel safe. I feel magical. And I that's my go-to is candles.
And tell everybody your sign, Ninja.
Gemini. I'm a Gemini.
Yeah, that's sparkly energy. So I don't really I feel like the older I get, the less the fewer ingredients I use. I have my my wand, which is actually, it looks exactly like a stick, and it's probably the thing I use the most. I don't really use too many spell ingredients these days.
Great. I like to use crystals and herbs just because they're very grounding. So like I'm holding one right now. It's red topaz, I think, red turquoise. And just holding it is really good for centering. Definitely gets me in a good mood, gets me grounded. The herbs I like to use are usually mugwort. I just find that such a useful herb. Like I'll put like a bowl of it under my bed at night so I sleep well. Sleep is vitally important to be positive.
Yeah.
So that is absolutely important. So I do a lot to make sure I sleep well. And so those two items. And like Tess, I don't use as many things anymore. Do love a candle. I can lose myself in a candle so easily. And yeah, that's just such a great idea as well. And water, showers, tub baths,
Yeah.
go to a local lake, step my feet into the creek across the street, anything like that.
Yeah. And nature,
Yeah.
just nature itself, going outside in nature, sitting by the creek by my house. I feel like that connecting with the elements in that way, that's a big thing I do too.
I do put other things in my weed and smoke it too, like mugwort.
Like what? Like mugwort?
With mugwort and lots of other, there's a lot of things you can smoke. And so you just mix them all together and you smoke it all with your weed. And it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that, Carrie, reminds me too, because not only am I a candle freak, but I'm an incense freak. So I gotta have candles and incense. And I saw someone talking about, oh, what if you can't use the smoke from the candle? You know what else works great that I use for traveling is battery operated candles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can do that. And sometimes I will just have, like, if I can't light an incense, because one time I did like set off the smoke alarm in a hotel because I was trying to like do a little ritual. Don't do that. But that's how we learn. Oh, hair. Oh my gosh, yeah.
I set my hair on fire before.
Right? I mean, you know, we're practical witches. You know, so sometimes you light your hair on fire and you set off smoke alarm. But you can use battery operated candles, or you can just like have the incense and not light it too. If it's like, because I have allergies and stuff too, and sometimes it can be a little heavy.
Or sometimes a spray. I use that as well.
Yeah,
so.
the spray, the water. Oh, that's so good. So healing.
So Judith is asking, how does everyone deal with going out for errands, etc., and feeling a negative energy? How do you get rid of it?
I always wear protective jewelry. I have this hematite ring that I wear every time I leave the house. That is really useful. And, or, you know, usually a necklace to ground me. I always make sure I do that because I don't wear jewelry at home usually. So it's just like a habit I've gotten into, and that really helps.
Mm-hmm.
In my book, the Good Energy book, and in my other book, the Holistic Energy Magic, I talk about, I have a practice that I do every day. I mean, there's a number of different practices, energetic practices that I do depending on what I need to do. But every day I ask for Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael to vacuum my aura of any and all stuck or challenging energies, and then to surround me and fill me in a sphere of golden white light in which only love remains, through which only love may enter. So I also anchor into the earth, connect with the cosmos, call on the angels of the directions, including Metatron and Sandalphon. Sometimes I do the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. Sometimes I just do a meditation. But that feels very important to me to do that every day, to invoke, especially Archangel Michael, and then have that sphere, that protective sphere. Because, and I set the intention, not that it pushes everything else out, but just that it's porous, but it just lets in love.
Yeah. That's a great idea. Or if you're like devoted to a deity, I'm devoted to Bridget, and I work with Bridget often. So that's a great reminder as well. So.
She has such a similar energy to Michael.
Yeah.
And I never leave home without my Florida water. I'm like bathed in it every day. I have Florida water bottles all around my home, in my luggage, in the bathroom. I hand them out to my friends. You know, it's pretty, you know, it smells so good. And I learned, you know, that Florida water is so old and people can make their own. But, you know, I'm not that kind of witch. So I just buy it in the bottle because I like the bottle. But, you know, I also learned that, you know, it was used as to cool you off, to cool your head. You know, that's where it like was originally like one of the purposes for it. So like I smell that Florida water And it's, in the spiritual community, we use it for dressing and fixing, cleansing candles, cleansing ourselves, protecting our home. So I never leave home without my Florida water.
I will agree that I do a lot of all of those things. During the pandemic, my anxiety got terrible. And I live in an area where people did not get vaccinated and they didn't wear masks. And I've lost family. And I couldn't go out. And Ganesh, he's my go-to for those tough things. So, and another thing that I found is, and I'm not going to cry. It wasn't too long ago that my granddaughters lost other grandma due to COVID. And it was just a month ago. So we're still going through all that. So you can see it's very difficult for me to go out. And one of the things I always say is anything you do in the magical world, you got to back up in the mundane world or it's not going to matter. So one of the ways I get through it is using Instacart and DoorDash when I am not in the mood to deal with those people.
Good for you.
And that's, I go when I have to. I do what I got to do, but I don't subject myself if I don't have to. And I think that's something a lot of us have to learn.
Yeah.
Exactly. So sorry about that, Carrie. I mean, it's been tough. I'm sorry to hear you had
I'm
family
sorry.
pass away. Hey, this is what we're here for: healing, support each other.
Oh yeah, she was gone in 2 months' time.
Oh my gosh.
She contracted. She was a lupus patient, who got it at a chemotherapy appointment. And within 2 months, she was gone. They had her on ECMO and everything. So I understand a whole lot about all the hard times. You seem to have them a lot. So that is what makes those positive times so much more important. My granddaughter's going to move in with me now. And that's going to be a big change for all of us. But at the same time, how lucky am I that I get to have my granddaughters come live with me?
Yeah, and it's that example too of the grounding, centering, being open to what is, to what we're feeling inside, what's happening outside, because we are going to have challenges. We can affect our reality as magical spiritual practitioners, for sure. And we will all have challenges. And so to learn to be present with all of that, to have self-compassion, self-love throughout all of that, that's a tool that will serve us. That, to me, that's the positive paganism.
Yeah. And also it's a choice, in my opinion. It's a choice you have to make every single day. And some days you just don't feel like it and you don't want to get out of bed. And I absolutely understand that. But reach in deep inside and find that little part. I call it an ember in my book. Some people call it a diamond. Anderson Cooper's mother, Gloria Vanderbilt, she called it a diamond. She had a diamond in her.
And don't argue with Gloria Vanderbilt.
It's just something to hold on to get you through those hard times. So absolutely. Make that choice.
And I also think you have to give yourself a break too.
Absolutely.
I mean, sometimes we can put a lot of pressure on ourselves that, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, when really, you just want to cry because you've lost someone, or you don't want to get out of the bed or put your clothes on, or and with this whole time we've been in, there is so much trauma in our collective consciousness, that sometimes, especially as empathic people, it just comes on us like waves. And I liked what you had said earlier, Tess, too, about boundaries. Sometimes it's good to have boundaries around what you can deal with and what you can't. I've always said there is strength in knowing your limitations. Maybe, I can't really get into that issue today or that subject because it's just too tough for me. And that's okay. Sometimes we get ourselves all worked up like, oh, we should be this and we should be that. Well, really, you got to take care of yourself. And sometimes you just got to say, I can't deal. I just don't have it today. Yeah. And for me, then I like to watch movies and eat popcorn and, I love movies and just I'll get back with you later.
Smoke a bowl. Or
There you
dreams.
go.
There's always that.
Watch a movie.
Pull out the big bong.
Well, that's a good point, because Anna had mentioned about self-love, and Tess, your book, how important it is self-love. That is all, self-love, taking care of ourselves before we can reach out to others as well. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did see that question about self-love, but Anna, I don't know if we need to be wrapping up now. So should we go into that? I guess she'll tell us. Definitely. Yeah. I feel, to me, that thing about self or grounding and centering that I'm talking about, like, oh, now I'm breathing in, now I'm breathing out. Here I am anchored into the earth. Self-compassion can start to be, I think that is woven in there for me. And I think that's a good thing to think of, is because grounding and centering is an energy. It's like, it's not just words on a page of something to do before a spell. It's like, it's a quality. It's just, okay, let me come back into my body. And then when we do that, we can be like, oh, here's my body. And we can send ourselves love. Like, we can notice my heart's aching, or my shoulders are tense, or, oh, I'm really worried about that thing, that conversation I had. And then it's an opportunity to tune in. We can place our hands on our heart. We can, just give ourselves affection. And it really does shift our energy to be like, oh, that was hard. Well, you know what? Everybody's going through challenges. We all have times that we're going through challenges. So let me just give myself a little compassion and a little love right here. And it sounds hokey. It sounds like not a big deal even, but when that starts to become part of your spiritual practice and you can come back to that throughout the day, it just makes such a difference in everything.
Yeah, well, in my practice too, I honor my ancestors every day, those who have gone before me, because we stand on the shoulders of those who have passed. But I've also had moments where I'm like, you know what, guys, you need to help me out today.
Yes, totally.
I've been like pouring water to you and lighting your candle. Hey, help me out.
Totally. And they want to.
I'm still here living, right? You guys are over there. I'm still over here. So if you can send some good juju, some powerful juju my way today, I would appreciate it. And and then it's like, oh, I'm really not here by myself, because we are spiritual people, right? So we can ask them, hey, can you help me out today? I could use a little help from the other side.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, that's part of it. All right. So
I think we have to wrap up.
Okay.
Said a few minutes,
So Anna says, a final note, what is the one thing, only one, that you want folks to know during being positive, along with magic, ritual, casting spells for good times?
Yeah, but that's two.
Right. Yeah, so mine is self-compassion. It's self-compassion. And Dr. Kristen Neff wrote a whole book about self-compassion. I do talk about the practice also in the Self-Love Superpower, and have a lot of practices for self-love and self-compassion. And I think that's such an important basic square one.
Yeah.
Anything worth having is worth working for, and weed makes it better. Seriously, if you're having a hard time, work your way out of it. If you need to have a better time, work your way into it. And weed makes it all better.
Smoke a bowl.
Smoke a bowl or three.
I'm gonna say, remember.
One thing.
I'm gonna say, remember to celebrate the small stuff. Like, if you see something that's really been great, that made you happy, give yourself permission to say, that was a really great thing and that made me really happy. And it doesn't always have to be a huge accomplishment to celebrate something that gave you joy. It could be just being here today and being with all of you. It's been fabulous. And all the people in the chat. Hey, that's a great thing that made me happy. So celebrate any little thing that you can whenever you feel called to.
Yeah.
And I want to say, don't give up. Just, if you haven't found something yet that works for you, just keep looking. There's so many amazing things out there. It may be crystals, it may be candles, it may be my book, it may be Naja's book or Tessa's book or Carrie's book. Just keep looking and you will know, and trust yourself to know that when it'll work, and that's something that you can rely on and use.
And play the music.
Absolutely.
Play the music.
Play the music.
All the music.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Llewellyn, for having us.
Yes,
This
thank
has
you.
been
This was
great.
fun.
You.
And thanks everyone for coming.
Thanks,
Yes,
everyone.
this is great. Have a
Great
wonderful
to
rest
see
of your
everybody.
Friday.